I wish I maybe saved this. Let's save it for the video because
We're already video, mate. It's already started. It's already started.
You didn't even give me any warning.
No, I don't. That's the idea.
I've not even done my makeup or anything. Seriously.
Yeah, it's already going.
This has got to be the best start ever.
Yeah.
Where's the cameras? I don't even. There's one there.
Well, that's it. That's it. It's just one camera.
Right.
One
okay.
camera.
So,
Two microphones.
So which model is this one?
GTS.
Right. I do like my cars, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I do like a little bit of suede.
Yeah. Nappa leather, I think they call that. They call that Nappa, don't they?
I think they probably will.
Yeah,
probably
they
could
call that
do.
Nappa.
Yeah. No, it's nice, mate. It's nice.
Yeah. It's an old one, but.
But these cars these days, they go on for ages, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they're built well.
Yeah.
It's not quite as authentic as my other one.
Okay. Right.
Because I've got a 2007 911.
Yes.
And that is proper old school Porsche, just before Volkswagen bought it.
Okay.
Because Volkswagen bought Porsche, didn't they, in 2010, something like that? And then everything became a bit more electronic. So mine is proper manual.
That's nice. Still. I used to clean one of my clients. he had Porsches 911. I used to go around and clean it every single week, and I used to charge him for a full valet. It didn't need it, just needed a little wipe down. That was it. Yeah, and it was fantastic.
So that's the trouble, isn't it? When you've got a Porsche, then people think, oh, he can afford to pay for a full valet.
Yeah, that's
even
right.
if I just give the seats a little bit of a vacuum.
And I used to get in it. I used to sit on the drive. Just used to drive it forward in first reverse a little bit, just like a few feet at a time, just to say I've driven a Porsche.
Yeah.
Age 25 or whatever it was.
You were younger than that, surely. You had your because you offered your valeting business to me.
Did I?
You did.
I was just probably trying to offload the van, to be honest with you. It wasn't that much of a business as such. It was a good van though. I paid £1,000 for that, and fantastic it was. It got everything inside it. I was probably a bit younger then. Yeah. Probably sort of just a few years before that.
So would you say that job did actually pay for your dancing, or was that just a supplementary thing? Because back in the day when you were an amateur, and I was an amateur, we were genuinely amateurs, weren't we? We had to work.
Yes.
I mean, you were a little bit different because you got to superstardom as amateurs as you were travelling a lot, but early on you were a proper amateur.
Yes, I worked for Barclays. I left school at 16, worked for Barclays until I was 21, and I was doing really good actually in Barclays, and I got quite a few promotions, but it was getting to the point when I was 20. I think when I was 21, I just won the youth with Michelle Barry.
Yep.
Michelle Barry, yeah, and I just probably started dancing with Kylie, and then we did quite well quite quickly, and then lots of trips just came in to go to Germany and just various other parts of Europe. So it was then getting to the point where I had to make a decision. What do I want to do? Well, not what do I want to do. I knew what I wanted to do, but you know, how am I going to keep working to the bank? So I went to them and just said that this is the situation. I'd like to stay working for you, but I can't work full time. And at that point they said, well, we were just going to promote you again actually and move you on up the ladder. And I was like, oh yeah, sorry. And then in the end, I just handed my resignation in, and that was that. And then I started up car valeting on the side just to pay for bits. But I think by that point, because me and Kylie were already doing quite a few trips, that was tending to cover the lessons actually. That was tending to cover all of the lessons, the fuel, and of course then we were lucky we had a shoe sponsor and a dress sponsor, so that was quite good. And then I think I just did the car valeting for just extra money, pocket money. Yeah, and I quite enjoyed it, James. Yeah, I genuinely quite enjoyed it. Not on the cold days, I must say.
Yeah.
But generally,
But do you not think that was probably a really good thing, because weren't a lot of your clients dancers?
Well, at the beginning,
the older pros.
At the beginning, but that didn't really work out.
Did it not?
Because it was the journey time to get there and back. It was too long, and yeah. So then I just started doing it all locally, and I got a few contracts with local garages, and actually it was really, the work wasn't easy, but dealing with those local companies was quite easy, and it could fit around the dancing. You know, I'd bring them up and say, I'm about anything you're doing, and they say yes, and it was kind of like that. So yeah, it worked out quite good.
So your trips away and stuff though you were doing with Kylie,
yes.
That wasn't teaching though, was it, as such? Or were you teaching abroad? It was just, it just shows, not shows, prize money and stuff? Prize money from competitions. Because I know that obviously back in the day then, there was good money to be had from these little trips abroad. Because I did a few of them as well. Yeah. And you had good. You would go to somewhere in Germany, some random place in Germany, it'd be packed out, wouldn't it? Packed out.
Would be. It would.
They'd be giving you good money or good prizes.
Yeah, well, I guess we were quite fortunate then. The money was good, and it was regular in the sense that, you know, you'd at least go to Germany every month at least, probably more, but it was just generally all over Europe. And then also as amateurs, we did quite a lot in Canada, which
Really?
I loved. Yeah, I had a girlfriend in Canada as well.
Uh-huh.
I met a girl in Canada, it was lovely.
I think I vaguely remember this chick.
Stephanie, her name was.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was through going to Canada.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, one of my first serious relationships.
That was the, yeah, I do remember her. Yeah, I remember her. Yeah, we met her at the UK once.
Yeah, I was definitely batting above my weight then. Definitely. I wonder if my titles had anything to do with that one. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I got going to Canada was the best. Out of when I look back at my amateur days with trips, there's nothing that compared to going to dance in Canada. We always used to do this trip every year. I don't know if you ever did it. I don't know. We went to Vancouver to dance the Snowball Classic.
Yeah, I've done that.
Fantastic, right?
Yeah.
And then it was a week later we went on to Montreal to do the Classic to Quebec.
Oh, yep.
And it was nearly like a 2-week trip. And just such fond memories of both events because of the atmosphere. Because there was that sense of, I don't know, freedom, where maybe you weren't being judged so critically, not judged I mean by the adjudicator with the pen in the hand, but just they just felt this freedom about it, and the audiences were wild.
Yeah, well, it was I suppose that in a way, when you dance in England, it was expected of you to do certain things, and
yes.
They were being extra critical because, well, you're in this position, John, so we're going to make sure that you're
scrutinised.
You're going to scrutinise you. Yeah, we'll make sure that you should be in this position. Whereas when you go to Canada, they're like, well, we got the British #1. It's great. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, and I think there's positives in both. So I'm not certainly knocking one or the other, but when I look back sort of on my amateur days, and actually I think I said before we went on film that I watched some of the other guys you were talking to, and they were really quite inspirational. And it did take me back a lot to my early days as amateurs and reliving that a little bit. Great times.
Yeah, I think they were great. I mean, you're a generation older than me, aren't you? But
am I?
You are, yeah.
Seriously?
You are.
Sure.
Well, when you were amateur, I don't think we never competed against each other as juniors.
No.
So I was juvenile and you were.
But I was in old time section at that point.
Oh, well, there you go.
I was doing the proper dancing.
Yeah, proper dancing. Yeah.
You know, that
learning your trade, weren't you?
I was learning my trade. I was learning how to use my feet properly, and I was learning how to stay in contact with my partner. Believe it or not, even in old time, even though we danced most of the time separately. And learning how to dance smoothly, James, which was a good base to.
Well, a prerequisite of dancing in those days.
Yes.
Today is not quite so important.
Yes, I guess it's like a lot of things in life, right? Priorities change, I guess. Good or bad, whether we like it or not. Sometimes it's a reality of where we are, but priorities, yeah, from when I was a kid, or you know, in the early amateur days to now, I think, yeah, vastly different. But remember, we are talking a long time ago now.
It does. It's not. To us, it doesn't seem like a long time ago, but it is a long time ago now.
And it's quite scary, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, good times.
I saw a video the other day on one of the YouTube shorts or something like that, or Instagram, and they were talking to some young kids, and they were saying, how old is someone who's old? To you, who is someone who's old? And they said anyone born before the year 2000. Do you think, oh Jesus Christ?
Oh well, we are well before that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I find really funny now? When you fill out these applications online and you fill your date of birth now, we have to scroll down to get to your year of birth.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not very kind of them, is it?
No, it's not.
That's what my son would say. He said, that's not very kind, Daddy.
Yeah.
Actually, he keeps winding me up at the moment, my son. He keeps saying to me, Daddy, you're getting fat. Because I'm getting a little bit of a.
Yeah.
I've got to do some. I've got to start getting a bit of trim, but I think I've got to go in for surgery soon again.
Is that your sex change?
No, that was done a long time ago. You got to get with it. Yeah, I've got some shoulder issues that I need to.
Oh, rotator cuff?
Yes, I need to attend. I've got both, but left one's really gone.
I have rotator. I have it in this shoulder.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I think it's the ballroom dancer's curse.
Yeah, well, you think how many times we put our arms up, right?
I know.
So the wear and tear. I mean, wear and tear anyway on that joint is just comes with age. But the fact, how many times do you think we actually demonstrate putting our arms up?
But it's not just that; it's the weight bearing as well, isn't it? When you've got someone who's
talk about that with partners.
Well, yeah, exactly. When you've got to carry people.
I never had a heavy partner.
Did you not?
My partners were always good.
You're so full of it. You're so full of it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about old time. How on earth? I mean, I don't know. I think it surely must be a dying thing now for boys, especially. Yeah. But what on earth got you into old time? Because I know that old time is a bit more prevalent in the north of England, isn't it? Less so in the
potentially
in the south
now,
of England.
probably. Yeah, I guess.
But how on earth did you get into old time?
Yeah, good question. It was my grandma who, I believe, took my sister to a dance class, a local dance class that was just old time and sequence, and then I believe my mum got into it as well, and then I was pulled along. Yeah. And I just think that's it. That's how it started. It never stops. I didn't stop, and it just, back in that day as well as a kid, believe it or not, old time number wise, the numbers was far out exceeded ballroom and Latin. When you used to go to Blackpool, there was far more couples doing sequence and old time compared to ballroom. And I guess ultimately what happened with old time was that it didn't develop. It was then became quite old fashioned. And I think basically that's what happened, unfortunately. But good times with the old time.
So did you do both at the same time? Did you do ballroom and Latin and old time?
No,
you stopped old time and then just took up ballroom and Latin?
Yes, I was 15 when I started doing ballroom and Latin.
Oh right.
And actually that was through my sister again, because her partner had enough with old time and he wanted to do ballroom. So he said, I'm going to do ballroom to my sister. Will you come over and do it with me? She said yes, and then of course I got pulled, which I was happy to. Yeah, I wanted to do it actually. And at 15 I started doing it. The Latin, I felt a bit uncomfortable with the Latin at first. That was quite a massive change. The ballroom, the sequence in old time is quite conservative. Yeah. Well, the Latin is sequence and all that. And I was a bit,
your tight trousers.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to cope with this.
You would have missed catsuits though. You didn't have catsuits.
No, I didn't have catsuits.
No, that was a generation before you.
Yeah, I had those. I first came in with those sort of loose trousers, which I'll be honest, I was quite relieved at.
Sinbad trousers.
Yes. Yeah. Those are the ones. Yeah. The ones that, if you went outside and it was windy, you could get blown about.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I remember some people who had, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was more local to me, I think, but he had these trousers that were particularly drain pipe at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously they went right out like that and then tapered in at the waist. And he had, because I really wanted a pair. Yeah, I remember I think I was 12 maybe, just going into junior, and I really wanted them, or maybe a bit younger. And he had, they were black, but he had like an insert down the side of the trouser, which was bright orange.
Go fast stripes.
Oh, no, but it was, I mean, you can imagine, these are trousers that are billowing. Yeah. And he had this great big insert of orange, and I thought, I want those. With the sequins and the rhinestones in it. It was brave. Just, yeah.
Yeah, well, you probably could have carried that off, actually.
No, I couldn't, not then, because I was short and fat. I would have looked ridiculous.
You were fat? You used to be fat, did you?
Yeah, I was quite chubby.
Are we allowed to say that word, though, fat? I don't know.
I don't care. I'm not politically correct at all. So,
larger than the average, potentially.
Me, I was. I suppose it was puppy fat, they call it, don't they?
Yes.
I did get a bit taller, and then I lost it a bit. But no, when I first went into junior, I was a bit of a chunky monkey. I look back at some pictures of videos now, and it's not great.
It's funny,
not great. Yeah, not great. And then he stood against Stephen Syson, who looks like a 25-year-old man. And I'm 12, and he looks like a 25-year-old.
He doesn't anymore at the moment.
He does not, does he? No, bless him.
But he won't mind us saying that.
No, he won't. No.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, we have to deal with the cards we're given, don't we?
So your sister got you then into ballroom and basically old time.
Yes.
That's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
A lot of times that happens, isn't it, with siblings?
That's right.
They get dragged along because,
followed suit.
I've got to take her to dancing. You're coming as well because I can't take you anywhere else. Yeah,
and it was interesting. I can remember sort of quite clearly at that time being 15 and coming over to ballroom. It was another world in the sense that it was far more serious. And I just can remember feeling the level of the teacher, the understanding. Already at 15 I thought, God, it's so much greater, it's so much more in detail. I was like, wow. And of course, when I came to ballroom, I had a lot of bad habits. I was very back-weighted from the old time days, and that stayed with me till I stopped competing to somewhat degree. Because these habits are ingrained into you from a kid. and it's sometimes very difficult to completely eradicate them. So that was something I always used to sort of fight with, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, I can remember those lessons, early lessons, very good, and the Latin just scared me, to be honest, at the beginning. But then I got into it a little bit.
Who was your first partner? I know you danced with Valerie, didn't you?
Yes, I did. My first partner was a young girl called Anne-Marie Eliades. And
don't know her.
No, I'd be honest with you, when I was young, I never used to like my partners very much, James.
Yep.
I don't know what it was, whether I was a bit too egotistical and just think, God, I'm so much better than them. I don't know. There might be that element. But I was a bit of a naughty boy back then. I used to get told off a lot from my mum. But Anne-Marie was the first girl I danced with in ballroom, and she was, I don't know, when I look back, she was really a lovely girl. And then I went to Valerie, went with Valerie Hobden. And Valerie had just previously just danced with Christopher Hawkins.
Right.
So I thought, oh yeah, this would be, this could be quite good for me because I'm still new
About
on
17,
the scene.
right?
Was it 17?
Were you about 17?
Could have been. Do you know what? You're probably right, about 17.
Because I remember 17. Seeing a picture of you and Val in Nice and Easy Dance Studio. Stood with someone else.
Oh, really?
I can't remember who you were stood with. It was you and Val and someone else, another couple.
Yeah. Valerie,
in your Latin gear.
Right, yeah. You know, I'll talk about that in a second. But Valerie was a really good dancer. Valerie was very clever. She was a good, I say, tactician. She understood things far better than what I did. I guess I was always more a feeler, and too many words would kind of stifle me. But she was very, very good at both styles, actually.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I was in Denmark in the summer at a congress, and the guy that was organising it for me, one day he showed me this video of me doing Latin with Valerie.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I thought, I was actually pretty good. I can't believe I wasted that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that is, we're touching each other, we're holding each other.
No way.
Yeah. In Latin, I mean, I think this is quite good. And that was a World Youth Latin Championship.
Made the final, right?
Yeah, we made the final, and we actually beat Charlotte Ekstrand. I think Charlotte Ekstrand that day.
Did you?
Yeah, we've joked about it since. But yeah, I was kind of a bit fond of Latin at that point.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember Graham Oswick when I was that age. I think I'd split from. I don't know if I can't remember how old I was at this point. I was 16 or 18, one of those, and he was really wanting me to dance with Cara Stubbington. And I was at 16. I was like, yeah, because she's hot. That's honestly my reaction. So that's my mum. But I didn't feel like I could say that to my mum. But I said, yeah, I want to dance because she's hot. And I knew she was good, but I was thinking she's hot.
Yeah.
But of course, I think my mum was a bit like at that point, yeah, but you're boring. And I'm not sure how this is going to work. So
you're never boring happened. Or ballroom?
Ballroom, sorry, ballroom, sorry. Did I say boring? Sorry.
No, it sounded like boring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Valerie was a good little time as well. Yeah. Fond memories.
Yeah.
When I look back, you know.
Yeah, I'll go back to what we were saying about in those days. It was. I just think it seemed to be a nicer time to dance. Do you think it's because it wasn't as important? Do you think it's because of the social media aspect now and everyone's desperate to get on and be better than the people they see on the videos? What do you think it is? Because I wanted to win. You wanted to win. We wanted to be successful, of course, but not necessarily at the expense of my mates who I was dancing against, because I felt that we all had a bit more of a bond with each other, didn't we? We all hung out together. We, as I was saying, you're a generation a bit older than me, but we always used to hang out. We all seemed to be like a team England, so to speak. Yeah. Whereas now I don't think that doesn't seem to exist anymore. It's all a bit too serious. Yeah, but I think you're right, James. But I think that's also just a reflection of the times that we're in. I mean, I could compare that now to watching a football match back in the 90s. To watching it now, where it's almost soulless now, actually, as compared to how it used to be. And Soulless and painful if you're an Arsenal fan, of course.
Well, yeah, that wasn't great last night, but I think they're a little bit unlucky. And I've got faith in them still. I think they'll turn. I think this will still be a good year. Yeah. But I know exactly.
Try being a Southampton fan.
Yeah, but they got their first win recently.
We did get a first win,
which is like that was been mega celebration. Southampton.
Yeah, it
People must have been on the streets and.
yeah. Everything closed down for 2 days actually.
Yeah,
we had a 2 day celebration.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And I like Southampton as I like their manager. I think he's good, and yeah, it's going to be a tough year for them. But yeah.
Good segue. Let's not talk about dancing. Let's go to football now.
Yes, but it's a good point you raised that, and yeah, I think
innocence. There was a certain bit more innocence, I suppose, about dancing back then as well.
Yes, potentially, but as in life, James.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those things now where it's like, you know, this is how it is. This is just development. Well, if you want to call it development, it's progress, whatever. It just it's social media is. You see, if actually, you know, I saw a clip on the news today, and I must say I admire the way Australia police their country.
Right.
And I don't know if you saw this morning. It was on the news. The Australian Prime Minister has come out and said basically they're banning social media to under 16s.
Oh wow, great.
Yeah. And I guess there's like anything, there's two sides to every coin, and two ways in which you can look at it, good or bad. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
No, I think it's a really good thing. I mean, when we've both got young kids.
Yeah.
My daughter Ella, she's 10, but she hasn't got a social media account. She's got WhatsApp, but that's only so that we can talk to her on her tablet sometimes if we're not with her.
Yeah.
But she's not going to have a phone. She's not getting a phone. She's got a flip phone for whenever she might need it.
Okay.
But she's not ever needed it because she's never been in a position to need it.
Yeah.
But I think it's absolutely right. I think there's too many kids get too indoctrinated and completely glued to this little screen, and then influencing negative. There are a lot of positives to social media, but of course when you're a kid you don't necessarily realise where those are or how to get them. And no, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, it's great, and you might find that with Reid as he gets a bit older. I'm sure he's already in it a bit now.
No, do you know what? He's not. Reid is. I bought Reid a PlayStation actually for Christmas 2 years ago, and he's not really used it very much.
Really?
Yeah.
You used it more, have you?
Yeah, I have actually. Funnily enough, I sort of used the excuse for you, Reid, and actually I bought Muscat Electrics at the same time, which was kind of also for me a bit as well, actually. But yeah, he's actually really good. He's not really into that at all, playing games on iPads or anything. He's got his own little thing that he's really into, and it was sort of discussed a while back between me and his mum about a phone, and my response to that was no, he's not old. He's just not old enough right now. And yeah, it's unless I feel like a bit like what you're saying with your daughter, it's there if she needs to call to message you, right? But
so it's good for me when I go away. Sometimes I can do a video call on WhatsApp to her, and we can have a little chat while I'm in a different country. So it's nice. It's nice, and she's got it up in her room or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it's got, she can send me silly little messages every now and then, which is quite cute.
Which is lovely to hear that, right? Yeah. These are the good sides to social media as well, I think.
Absolutely.
This is the positive side, and we all know the negative side to it. And yeah, it's just society we live in. Just I don't know what you think, but I've definitely realised that being a parent is undoubtedly the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and being a dancer, particularly when you spend your whole life on you, just kind of you, then to actually, there's a whole nother world out there, a whole nother life, and I'm learning as I'm going. Literally, I'm sure you and Kelly are still some ways, right? You're constantly learning.
Well, yeah, because absolutely right, because the daughter, your child's getting older and experiencing different parts of life, and experiencing it in a different way than you did, perhaps. Yeah. Because the world is different now, and then suddenly you're learning things as well. But I haven't found it difficult at all, actually.
Really?
No, I've embraced.
Yeah, you've not been there.
I haven't been that bothered. Yeah. No, what's difficult? I don't know what that would mean to me really, but I've embraced everything, and I just enjoy every moment of it, and it's so rewarding. Yeah. So rewarding.
Yeah.
The difficult thing is when she's upset or when she's sad. That's the hard thing, because it's painful to see this child get upset. Not that she gets very upset very often with certain issues and things.
Or where she's being picked on at school.
Well, we have that issue at the moment.
That is not.
We have that issue at the moment.
No, that's not.
So that's something we're dealing with at the moment.
See, my son is like really quite good with stuff like that. He just says, "Will you go around there and beat them up, Daddy?"
Yeah,
that's what he sort of says. And to him, it's like quite simple. He kind of thinks that's all right. And I'm like, well, it doesn't kind of work like that, darling. Because Daddy might get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, Ella's very stoic though, you see, because the school didn't even realise.
Okay.
Because she just gets on with it, and her schoolwork hasn't suffered or anything either. So they don't really necessarily see a problem. But this particular child is a bit devious, let's say, does it? At times when the teachers aren't around or don't see, and so we've actually just had a meeting yesterday with them, and it's ongoing. We're going to get it sorted, and if it isn't sorted, we're going to take her out of school. We told them that yesterday, and they looked really shocked. Yeah.
Well, you have to do what you think is the right thing for your child, right? And you'd go to any lengths in that situation.
Well, she's got 7 months left at this school before she goes to secondary school. So I need those 7 months to be a good period of time before she goes to secondary. And she's got entrance exams for her new schools in January. I need her to be.
Just the 11 plus.
No, it's no entrance exam for the next for the secondary school that she's going to go to. So she's got to pass that.
So it's not easy, is it?
No, exactly. That's tough. But she's great. I mean, it's great. It's more rewarding being a parent than it is winning any competition I've ever won.
I think it's different. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, I don't really sort of compare the two, but it's extremely different. Like I said earlier, when you look back at your career, and when I look back at my career, and it's actually, well, like I said earlier, when I was watching some of your other interviews with Victor Silva and Carmen, listening to these guys, it does take you back to your own journey and how selfish, in a good way, you had to be selfish, not in a nasty way, but in a good way. And that now as a parent, it's almost the opposite.
Yeah, absolutely. You're living your life for them, aren't you? That's
right.
Yeah.
Like you said, extremely rewarding and extremely funny at times, but also sometimes extremely frustrating.
I think that's why perhaps there's a lot of dancers that don't have kids.
Yeah.
Perhaps because they can't see themselves giving their time to anyone else other than themselves. That's not a criticism.
No.
It's not a criticism at all, but some people just can't. Well, no. This is me. I want to give my time to myself, and I don't want to share it with anyone else or dedicate my life to anyone else other than me.
Yeah.
But also, I think a lot of them, their careers go on for so long, and it gets to a point where, well, actually, I haven't really got time for children now.
Yeah, and you're right, and I think I feel very fortunate to have been involved in ballroom dancing and to be in this bubble that we've lived in, and it's a bubble of safety and it's always felt quite secure in it and I only realised that since I've been into the outside world with my son and met other parents that do other jobs and things like that. And I always wanted to have children. I knew that early on. Always knew that. It wasn't something that just hit me at the end. I've always known that. But at the time when it was sort of being talked about, right, okay, let's have a family. Before I met Reid's mum, I was kind of at the view that actually I'd been happy either way. If I'd had children or not, I'd have actually got to the point I was actually quite happy because I had such a good and simple lifestyle in dancing.
Easy, right?
Yeah, and the pros on our business that haven't had children for whatever reason, they're also very fortunate. They've got a lot of good things in their life, and but yeah, it's great having a little kid. Can wind me up and play fights and terrorise me, and a little bit like my old partners. They used to terrorise me as well.
Did they?
Yeah.
I used to terrorise them.
Did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't. As you said earlier, when you were younger, I wasn't the best of partners either.
No.
I had this chip on my shoulder a little bit, I think, about thinking that I was better and that sort of thing.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that quite clearly.
The thing is, though, it was true.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I wasn't. There was a little bit. No, I did get a bit of flack for being. I suppose people would have thought I was cocky or arrogant, but I was just supremely confident, actually. And then people just misinterpreted that. And eventually, I proved it. Eventually,
yeah,
I proved it that what I was saying was true.
Yeah,
I was going to do it.
Yeah,
not to not to the degree that you did, or many of the others, but yeah, I was all right. It was all right.
Well, we're lucky with, you know, I think about all the good times, particularly when I've got really fond memories of amateurs. I've of course got fond memories of professional, but my amateur career and my professional career was so chalk and cheese, I feel. So chalk and cheese in terms of style, and just really different to each other. And I look back at them both fondly, but when I think about the amateur stage when I was with Kylie, it was really quite, when I look back now, quite amazing. This was just the experience, just going through the whole experience, and just the sheer desire to not only win, but to actually just satisfy yourself as a dancer. Those two things I think were really important to me, that I really wanted to satisfy myself, but I really wanted to win as well. But only through satisfying myself. It wasn't like I never had the attitude of win at any costs. No, definitely not. It was always done, I felt, in the right way, and maybe I look back with integrity. I didn't realise that at the time, but maybe looking back. But do you think it was just more fun and a little bit more relaxed and less important? It was important, of course, but yeah, pro in comparison was a little bit more serious, because actually now this is my job, this is my business, this is my livelihood. I'm doing here. So if I don't make this final, if I don't get the result I want here, I'm not necessarily going to get invited to this, that, or the other, or get these opportunities. I definitely think there's an element of that. That when I was amateur, still even when I was amateur, although the guys I was competing against from Europe were all teaching and were basically like professionals anyway, it felt very different for me when I was an amateur then turning pro. And yeah, you're right, I think the fact that there wasn't the shows, we did a few shows as amateurs at that point because we were allowed to, but it wasn't big. We were just relying on our income from Europe, whatever, for competitions. Definitely you could stay much more focused on the dancing. It was easier to stay focused more on the dancing rather than the outside influences that you're exposed to, or that I was exposed to more as an English amateur turning professional. It's quite a big jump, I found, and back then anyway. Yeah. Not now, of course, because literally everyone is doing everything now. Well, I can remember when me and Kylie, after we did our second Worlds, we knew we were turning professional that day, and we had already got our first sort of trip to Japan booked, and it was so different because the flights were kind of all paid for and they were in business class, and it was such a big difference, and you kind of go like, wow, well, that hard work's really paid off. And then it became a little bit about, I wouldn't say it was difficult to manage, it wasn't difficult to manage, but it was such a big difference for me. Being English, where you couldn't teach, and then suddenly, boom, you're exposed to all this. Amazing, really, but very different. Why didn't it continue with Kylie? What happened there? Is it Kylie didn't want to compete anymore? She'd had enough? Do you think what you're talking about here hit Kylie really hard and thought, oh, do you know what, this is too much for me, I don't want to do this anymore? No, I think we just grew apart. Right, okay. Actually, unfortunately, because in many respects Kylie was actually a really good partner for me, in the sense that she just allowed me to do what I wanted to do, and it felt like she just allowed me to go the direction I wanted to go. I think it was more the point that she wanted to go in that direction as well, actually. We both were really aligned throughout most of our career, and that, I think, I believe I was quite lucky to stumble across that. We kind of found our style together, shall we say. And I can always remember one of the best things about Kylie was she never said no. She never said no to anything. Never. Of course we'd argue at practice, of course, and we'd have disagreements, but the choice, the direction we decided to go in, which was quite out there a little bit for an English amateur, I must say. We were a bit well, you were certainly more brave. You were certainly more effervescent than some of the other couples. Yeah, and we tried stuff out of a desire to fulfill ourselves, I think, to be honest. And it was, we tried stuff. We did. I mean, you know, when I look back now, all the stuff we looked into and researched, and the things that we tried to do, and it was never ending. It was kind of relentless. Doing stuff outside of the dance world that was related to the dance world, like
you worked with Reid, didn't you? As
yeah,
well? So
we worked with Reid.
Reid was so when you started working with Reid, that was the first I'd heard of Reid.
Yeah,
I know we talked about it when you were doing it, and I'm thinking, oh, who's this guy Reid?
Yeah,
and because you think when you're trying to be successful, you're going to go to all of the proper ballroom teachers who are going to get you the results that you need to go, but then you're coming along doing, oh no, I'm not going to go with that, I'm going to go with a guy that was a Latin dancer who's now worked with Laban, right?
That's right. Yeah,
and that's really out of the box, really.
I mean, that came about at the time. I think we both felt we wanted something extra, and actually it started through Richard Porter, actually.
Yeah, because you had lessons with Richard as well, didn't you?
Yeah, and I can't exactly remember how we sort of stumbled across that feeling. So I was actually good friends with Richard anyway, but we just started doing some group classes actually with Matthew Cutler and Nicole Cutler. I think it was David Watson and Marlin as well, and myself, and there might have been another ballroom couple, but I can't remember who it was now. And we just do this group classes with Richard Porter in the evenings, and it was really abstract. It was a bit nutty. It was a bit crazy. It was out there, but I quite liked it. And then we started doing some lessons with Richard, and a lot of the stuff that he was saying to me, I thought, wow, this is really, really good stuff. This is really good stuff what he's saying to me, and I didn't see it as a conflict to my lessons with my ballroom teachers at all. I saw it really fitting in actually, but he was coming at things from a different angle, and I like that. And then it just progressed, and then we started with Reid as well as working with Richard, and again Reid had a massive influence on my dance career, and my sort of view of life, maybe is too strong a words, but he influenced me, and I think Kylie's at the time, very strongly. And he was a clever man, and one of the things I really liked about Reid was it was a bit like going in for a lesson with Bill and Bobby Irvine, and I can remember this, I was terrified. And there was this respect that, you know, like every time you used to go in for a lesson with Bill and Bobby, I'd stand up an extra inch. You know,
I never had a lesson with Bill and Bobby.
Oh wow!
Never had Bill and Bobby. One of my regrets, actually. I never had a lesson with them.
One of the great experiences, and and it was a little bit like that with Reid as well. You kind of knew where you stood.
I had lessons with Reid.
You did?
In Russia, yeah. When I was dancing in Russia. Yeah, I loved him. I loved it because it's just coming at things in a different way, and it makes you just think about things differently. Because we all get set up in a box, don't we? So you've got 4 blocks of weight all lined up, arms in a certain position, and you know, shift your weight forward, backwards, left or right, whatever. But then suddenly someone's saying, no, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that instead? So you're doing a right lunge, why don't you do a left lunge before you do a right lunge? Well, just think about energies in a different way, and suddenly it opens your mind to different opportunities. And I think those influences in ballroom is what changed ballroom to a certain degree. We'll get on to some of the other aspects of ballroom later, but I think at the time it certainly changed dancing for the better.
Yes,
for sure, because it started to. I mean, because I know that William and Alessandra worked with them as well, right?
I think they did to a certain degree, but not too much from my understanding. Because Massimo was sort of always with Reid a lot, and I think William maybe did a little bit, but not too much. But I mean, I'd just say one of the most amazing things about Reid was that his honesty, and I've never ever had a teacher say this to me before, but I remember I'd just turned professional with Kylie, and we went to see Reid, and we've been working with him a lot, and had a really good relationship with him. And he said, right, you need to spend a considerable time in London working on your technique and don't come back to me until it's better. And I was like, I was a bit hurt, actually.
Yeah.
But my respect for him went up.
Yeah.
Because of, this is just about the dance. He can maybe recognise that we need now to improve our fundamentals more to be able to do maybe what he wants us to do. The downside of that was I was working on the fundamentals forever. Yes. But yeah, he inspired you to search, find things, and it was brilliant.
Because the best dancers are the ones that become the best versions of themselves, not someone else. You see, so you want a coach that's going to get those things out of you, aren't they? Because it's not about just do as I say, because a lot of teachers are just do as I say. Just do as you're told, do this, do as I say. Now some aspects are right. Do a heel here, do a toe here, because that's the way it should be done, and that's correct. But we're not talking about that, are we? At the highest level, we're talking about people who are expressing themselves to the music, and you've got to find the best way for you to do that, and that's what creates great dancers. Just not good dancers, great dancers that find the way to do it in their own unique style.
Absolutely. I remember my lessons with Richard, and I was lucky that I had really good teachers, and my main sort of teachers were Richard and Janet and Michael and Vicky and sort of Kenny and Marion. They were my main over the years, and Richard, you know, I don't know if he had lessons, but Richard would always promote about principles in dancing, and generally I found that Richard, that was what I was taught, principles, and that actually for sure stands by. I stand by that all the time, because if you teach principles, then you're encouraging people to bring out what's right within themselves rather than teaching them a style. And I think he was incredibly clever, Richard, with how simple he could keep things. You know, and also a lot with Michael. I used to find the lessons were really clear. I could really understand what they wanted. I wasn't confused. If I ever got confused by anybody in ballroom dancing, I just kind of was, you say to yourself, well, I'm not that bad. If I don't understand it, there's something wrong with it. That was kind of my motto. If I understood it, and Michael Barr said so a lot to me, you want stuff that goes straight into the bloodstream. I thought, that's perfect. That is brilliant. I don't want to waste time trying to like work this out, analyze it. How does this work? That's not to say that I'm right completely with that. That's just me.
I had the same lessons, and I agree the same, because I found them to be super clear, and you knew exactly what they were after. Exactly what they were after, and I still teach their stuff now. I'm still teaching the fundamentals and the technical stuff that they gave me all those years ago as well, because it was really clear, really simple, really easy stuff to understand and to apply. Obviously,
and I think
practice, but
I think it was clear to understand, but looking back at it, it was a lifetime of study and devotion to those principles, right? You know, because they didn't come overnight. You had to work hard at them, and the harder you worked at them, the more reward you would basically get. And then it's up to you on top of that to put your own individual, what do you want to call it, style, or add to that what really turns you on in dancing. You know, like for me, I always loved watching Fred Astaire, and just because I thought he's so ahead of his time. Oh my god, like if you can watch him and think it's good, but if you can watch him and understand what he's doing, that is different. Like understanding what he's doing, it's like a little bit like with art. I can look at art that's cost like £10 million or whatever and think that's a load of rubbish, I can do that. Well, I don't get it. But I just simply don't get it, do I? But it's when you, I guess you can understand what your icon is maybe doing,
and how he's achieved it, and how he's get to that point. And you understand that that you can't just go out and do that. But that's what a lot of people find when they come to learn to dance, because obviously we teach a lot of social dances as well. So people come in,
which is fun. It's
great fun. People come in and they think they can dance, and they realise they can't. Because
what you mean after a lesson with you?
Yeah, exactly.
You made it very clear.
I made it worse. I made it worse for me. No, you can't dance. You've got no chance. But they see it on the telly, and they see, you know, they see good dancing on the telly, perhaps on Strictly or whatever, and they think, oh, I can have a go at that, and then they realise it's not quite so easy. I mean, you can have a boogie, can't you?
Yeah.
Anyone can do Latin, for instance. Anyone can do Latin.
Is that what you tell them?
I tell him, yeah, I tell him that. I tell people that all the time. I think I told Carmen that. I think I told.
Yeah.
That's why she started when she was 17 and made a world champion. You see, because it's easy.
Yeah.
Latin's easy. I'm joking.
I practiced with them once in Japan. In Osaka. We used to do a lot of trips with them as professionals, me and Lynn.
Yep.
And really fond ties because our organiser was also their organiser, and a lot of double shows. So the one at Boroma Latin was Brian, and we would do a lot of them together, so it was good fun.
Yeah.
And I think it was their idea. They said let's practice. Let's do a practice together tomorrow. And they said we'll watch you and we'll comment, and then you can watch us and then comment. I'm like, what? You are kidding me? You want me to comment on you, Brian and Carmen?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I must say I quite enjoyed it, because when Brian watched us, he just criticised Lynn, and I quite enjoyed that. I was like, yes, I like that. And then Brian and Carmen practiced, and yeah, I can't reveal what was said in their practice. That will always stay between the four of us. But it was really hilarious and eye-opening, and yeah.
I thought that was going to go somewhere.
Yeah, no,
tell me something.
I can't. If Carmen's watching this, she'll if she sees, she'll know what I'm talking about. She'll probably have a little chuckle. But you know, when they were extremely serious as dancers. You know, just watching them practice was, and yeah, it was fantastic. And I think it's quite interesting because every dancer's got their own agenda's probably not the right word, but they're what they believe in. And I always remember Brian said, he just said the feeling is a bonus. This was at this practice, the feeling's a bonus. And I straight away thought at that point, yeah, that's probably why you're 8, 9 times, 10 times world champion with that attitude.
Yeah, because it's consistency, right?
Yes. That's interesting, yeah. So where were we going with that?
It doesn't matter.
You were talking about Latin.
Yeah.
You were talking about you were teaching the Latin, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. That's what I said. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not, of course. But I think Latin's easier to make a stab at to start with.
Do you think so?
I think so to start with. Yeah, because ballroom's got so many other aspects to the vision, to what it looks like. Because if I look like Quasimodo, it's very difficult for that to look good. But if I've got a certain amount of rhythm and I can stand there and my partner can stand the other side of me, we can look half decent. We can make a good stab at it, can't we?
Yeah, it's true. I took Reid for his first dance lesson actually with Graham Oswick a couple of years ago. Right. And Graham taught him the cha-cha-cha, and because I felt I don't know where to start with kids at this age. I haven't got a clue. And yeah, the cha-cha-cha was just like a stamp. Yeah. 2, 3, cha-cha-cha, and I thought, God, that's easy. I thought, if I try and teach Reid the box step in walks with the rise and fall or whatever, well, you can't do that. Yeah.
It's much harder.
So
yeah, because every time they close their feet, they want to go off on the same foot again.
Yeah. So you may well be right.
Yeah. So yeah. But anyway.
Do you put your Cubans on when you teach Latin?
Oh, of course.
Oh, I bet you.
Yeah, of course.
You love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Open toed as well.
Actually, I always do have a little chuckle when I'm teaching the studio at Ching with David Sycamore, and I admire his professionalism so much. But you know, in between lessons, if he's doing a ballroom lesson, he'll change his shoes for the next lesson. There's a Latin lesson. Right. He'll change them in between, and I just think that's dedication to your craft. Those little details. Details sometimes they get missed these days.
Yeah.
Age, you know. And so little things I was like.
Yeah, David is something special.
Yeah, he is.
He's one of a kind, isn't he?
Yeah,
in that respect, he's very, very, very straight-laced.
Absolutely.
Like that. Yeah. So let's talk about Lynn. How did that? So obviously, Kylie decided to quit.
Well, we split.
Well, who split? You did that. You did that. Or she did that.
Okay, so right. Well, it overlapped with Lynn. So
do people all know about this?
They do now.
Brilliant.
So
you were obviously unhappy then.
Yeah, I can. Should I say this on camera? I don't know.
We can always redact it later if you don't feel comfortable with it.
You won't.
No, I will, because I'll send this to you after I've done it, and then you can say no, we take that out.
Yeah, I think it's okay to. I think it's fine. So back at the day, me and Kylie were just turned professional. I think we'd done a year, and we were kind of next into the final. Well, we were next into the final. So there was potential that it was going to maybe go into the final, but I just felt we were going on 2 different tracks, and and what we'd had as amateur that was so successful had gone. It just wasn't there. We were just going in 2 different directions, I felt. So anyway, basically I wasn't happy, and I confided in someone, and just not expecting it to go anywhere at all. And then I got a telephone call actually from Lynn, just out of the blue, and she just had said she'd been informed by someone that I wasn't happy, and that she just returned from America, I think, from dancing with John Pierre for a brief while.
Yep.
Never made it onto the floor, but it didn't work out. And at that time, I was, even though I'd confided in someone, I was still not quite ready to finish it with Kylie. I still wasn't quite ready, so I just sort of lied to Lynn and just sort of said, yeah, no, that's not true, I don't know where you got that from. And that was the end of the call. And then I think about a week later or 2 weeks later, I think I split with Kylie quite quickly. Then that was it done. And then me and Lynn must have spoke again on the phone. I can't remember who called who. I don't remember. But this was late December, and then we agreed to have a tryout. So I had split from Kylie at that point. So the tryout was not. That wasn't done behind anyone's back. So we had officially split, and that was that. Yeah. So I had the tryout with Lynn. The tryout with Lynn was an absolute disaster. Right. Nothing about the tryout felt good. I mean, because her previous partner was Augusto.
Yeah.
Tall guy, right?
Yep.
Wide wingspan.
Yep.
No one moved more than Augusto.
Nope.
And I'd gone from Kylie, a shorter girl. So the tryout was really not good. But I don't know. I just said, yeah, let's do it. Oh, we both did. And Lynn would tell you the same. The tryout was terrible. So we both said, let's just do it. We'll do it. This was 3 weeks before the UK.
Right.
And then did the UK and then made the final. And actually danced really quite well. So
I remember you were 5th, weren't you?
Were we 5th? Okay.
Yeah, you were 5th.
Okay. But it went.
No, 6th, weren't you?
Okay,
6th.
I think
Mirko was 5th actually.
No, it was not. Alan was still.
Alan didn't make the final, did he?
No, he did the first year.
Oh, okay. It was the second year then, wasn't it?
He did the first year.
Okay.
That we did it, and yeah, so that's how we got together. And actually, at the beginning, yeah, really good. We just took off. I don't know what happened. We just clicked with the dancing. Because Lynn, very different to Kylie. Lynn's sort of, how do I say it? Every dancer brings her own attributes, right? But Lynn's attribute was just the quality of her movement. She made. I mean, I've danced with Lynn, obviously, and for me, it was just a massive challenge every time. You had to be on your game all the time to deal with her, because she was so. Well, I just found her so. The words I would use are such a handful, in a good way. I remember in the tryout, I think she's a handful. I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I you know, at the beginning, we were really quite lucky because we got together really late. We'd got no lessons booked. Yeah. Have you got someone trying to be funny with you?
No. I just thought I'd do that while we had a bit of space. I always like.
Is this a diesel?
No. It's a 5-litre V8.
Am I boring you? Is that why you felt?
No. I just had a bit of space. I thought I'd do that.
Can I just remind you? I do want to pick my son up today. By the way, I do want him to see me again. So can we just, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, and we were lucky. I think when we first got together, we didn't have any lessons booked. It was difficult to get lessons. And actually, it was kind of quite good because then we were just left to our own devices. And yeah, it was good. The first initial stage, I remember of Lynn looking back, really, really good. In fact, all the time, to be fair. Generally, we had great times, me and Lynn. Really, really good times. But I feel very lucky actually.
Didn't finish so well. I did it in the competitive sense, or in the other sense.
In the end, it didn't. But no, it didn't go too well in the end, James. No. But sometimes these things happen in life, and I don't have any regrets about what happened there at all. And I always wanted to retire quite young, and I think I was 33 when I stopped, 33, 34. And I always wanted to retire young. And yeah, it's one of those things with Lynn and myself. We just kind of, I think, fell together maybe through the dancing, and of course there was this attraction at the beginning. Of course there was, but I don't know. I just think as the years went on, we were more of companions, to be honest, James.
Right.
And in that sense, I think we were actually very, very well suited. So yeah, but fortunately, now gone on to have my lovely little boy Reid, who's like amazing, and everything happens for a reason.
It does, absolutely right.
You know,
absolutely right. So what's your take on ballroom at the moment? Because I know I've got an opinion on what's going on in ballroom these days.
Ooh, I was wondering how long it'd be before you asked me that question.
Yeah, because
James.
okay, I'll tell you where I'm at. I don't think it's really developed in the last 10 years properly at all. I think it's, for me, mostly everyone's kind of putting out the same regurgitated nonsense and they're all just trying to look the same most of the time, and there's not enough emphasis on quality in music.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
So no one's. I mean, when you were, I think you were kind of at the tail end of the good stuff, because back then you could have 6 in the final and all 6 of them would look pretty much different.
Yeah,
they all had their own take and their own interpretation of it all, which made it much better to watch.
Yeah, this is very
because
true.
you're all different.
But then if you look, I mean, one of the the greatest era I've ever seen was Marcus, John and Andrew. How amazing was their dancing when you look back? Like,
oh, it still stands up now.
Totally different styles to each other, but you could tell that all 3 of those couples, their dancing was based on principles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so different, and yeah, I don't really have the answer to it, James. It's we have to accept on one hand that things change, whether we like them or not. It's like, again, we go back to today's football. Do I think the character is as good? No, there's lots of characters missing. Is it a bit soulless? Yes, it's a bit soulless. And yeah, in my honest opinion, in today's, not just today's dancing, I can go back 10 years, the last sort of 10 years and stuff, and just sort of seen a steady move away from maybe what I would like to see or what I would like to encourage. And that is disappointing a little bit, but I also kind of feel like I've got to live in 2024 a little bit and not live in the past so much. But my overall sort of, if I could say give advice really more than criticism, would be to all dancers, would be that studying the fundamentals and principles are massively important. Developing individuality is massive. So let's not copy all the time. For a start, let's find our own way. Let's experiment. Let's look outside of what we do. Yeah, let's look, I don't know, at different artists that inspire you, whether they're a singer or a dancer or something. Search like Argentine tango. I remember when I was amateur, I used to do loads on Argentine tango, and I had a teacher from Argentina that we'd have lessons with, me and Kylie, and stuff like that. It has a massive influence on you, and I think maybe we just get caught in this situation where we just copying the same person in front.
Do you not think that's the fault though of the coaches? Because these couples are learning somewhere and being validated for what they're doing, and that is the coaches, isn't it? That clearly are doing it.
But I mean,
they've created them.
Yeah, but for this problem, James, we need to go 40, 50 years back in time, so to have sorted out back then to avoid where we are today. I mean, in my honest opinion, just generally in our business, it's not policed in the right way, if I'm really honest, and how that should be, I don't really have the answers. Whether it's big enough to be policed.
So when you say policed, do you mean as in what? How do you mean policed? What aspect of it? The way people are teaching, or the way people are judging, or the way that just the whole business is run?
I think it's a little bit of potential of everything. I mean, like, for example, if we just sort of talk about like ice skating just for a minute. This is going back a long time ago. I went to an ice skating world championship with Kylie, actually, with Michael Stylianos was doing a lecture. Okay. And he took us to show. Anyway. Right. So we were talking to one of the guys that was on the board there, and he was very clear. He said, ballroom dancing will never get into the Olympics. And this is, I don't know, nearly 30 years ago now, it will never get into the Olympics while teachers are allowed to judge. And straight away I just thought, yeah, well that's not going to change. I can't see that will ever change in our business, whether our business is big enough to deal with that. And that in itself anyway, James, would present problems, because you always want a higher level person to adjudicate you, right?
Yep.
So like I said, I don't really have the answer to it, but what I kind of do feel is that it's very easy to blame the teacher, right? But dancing's become so global. You know, you have teachers of all levels, that are teaching. Some that had really great results, some that maybe didn't have great results, but have become a really good teacher. And maybe you've got some that didn't have good results and really don't really know what they're doing. But then that's in all walks of life to a certain degree, right? So yes, there is a little bit of element of.
But those teachers, those judges though, are still then marking the same stuff. So the same, for me, the same boring stuff is still reaching to the top.
It is, but there isn't much when you know.
There's not a lot of alternative.
No, there isn't, and I often find sometimes when I'm judging, I find it very difficult sometimes to really separate the couples. Just simply because it's quite similar. So you're looking for very, very fine details, and it's not easy. Judging is not something that I love to do. I enjoy it on some occasions when it's really challenging, when the dancers really challenge you. That's what I really want to be as a judge. I want the dancers to really challenge me and make me think, wow, God, yeah, I've got to get this right. This is really. I don't want to be left there sort of thinking, how am I going to separate you lot? You know, I think it's a tricky one where we are right now, and that's why I sort of said earlier that I think sometimes in these situations it's maybe good to recognise where we are, that maybe ballroom dancing right now is it can be better, but that's always been the case. I actually think when I look at the amateurs at the international, I was really encouraged actually by the amateur performances. I thought, wow, really good, this is really good quality. They're all quite different actually when you look at them, and so I think that's quite promising. But I think it's good in these situations to offer as much advice rather than criticism, because you know, remember, like at the end of the day, when you were dancing and when I was dancing, I believe I picked really good teachers. And I always remember what Richard Gleave said to me. I remember I approached Richard one day and I said, Richard, do you know what, can I talk to you? He said, yeah. I said, I'm thinking about having a lesson with this person, and I gave the name, and do you know, all he said, what's their track record, John? And and I thought, how stupid am I? I should know that. So that sort of stuck with me, and that's what I'd say to couples. Like, it's really important you look at the track record, who you're going to trust with your dancing, who you're going to trust with it. Look at the track record. I accept that to a certain degree, you know, there are great teachers out there that maybe didn't have a great career.
Well, I know there are,
but there are. Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But then their track record will also be found, also be heard, because they'll have a good reputation for teaching. Yeah.
Well, not if people don't take the punt and go for it.
Also
you know, that's the trouble, especially when other people put you down all the time. Tell you don't bother going to them because this, that, and the other. Yeah. You know.
But I'd just like to encourage all the couples with just to follow, just search. You know, it's more than just having a lesson. What we do is more than just having your lesson. You know, get out there, listen to different types of music, find stuff that inspires you.
I think some of the couples are scared though to do that for fear of losing pace, or you know, losing their position. Yeah. Because they're trying to find themselves, let's say, and they're fearful of the situation that we talked about earlier. That, you know, when you're in a position, when it's a bit more serious as a pro, especially because if you suddenly drop out of the final, those opportunities to go to Japan or dance in the superstars, they're not going to be there. So I think, well, I've got to stay with the status quo. I can't develop, I can't change myself.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because I've got no time to do that.
But those are the sort of things, and you're absolutely right, and those are that's the mindset that separates the champion from the rest. To a certain degree, in the sense that I can only speak from experience, just going back to amateur days when I was doing well in England, but I wasn't doing very well in Europe. So I was maybe winning in England, I can't remember, or high up or whatever. But again, really bad results in Europe before.
You'd always get beat by Villa, wouldn't you? When you
and not just him, some really not so good rake dancers. Yeah. When I look back at it, but I can't. I just had the attitude, right? I've got to change something. Because I want to win there. I want to win, so I've got to look at this and I've got to do more. And actually, that's what slightly had some decision making on when I started to go to Richard and the Reid. I felt I needed something. I wasn't going to give up, and I wasn't going to just be afraid. So again, that what you're saying, James, you're absolutely right. But that ultimately lies at the foot of the dancer, right? That is he going to be brave enough and strong enough? Yeah. And it doesn't matter what level you are. If you're brave at what you do, if you're brave with your decisions, you might make a couple of wrong ones, but one will come right. You know, and so that would be my message. Really.
Yeah. So it's about being brave, then, isn't it? Being brave and true to yourself.
It is about being brave and true to yourself. And what was it? I mean, did you ever have lessons with Andrew Sinkinson? Yeah. I mean, Andrew's common saying was, "You're the captain of your own ship." Yep. Right. And I don't know where that's probably been handed down from years before. Yeah, captain of your own ship. And yeah, that's that. And again, this comes back to this individuality, what you're talking about. You know, remember, dancing's changed a lot. Back in our day and stuff, you know, the international scene was sort of just on the upright. Was really starting to boom. Well, now if you look at the way they do things compared to what we do in England, it's very different. It's a club situation. Yeah. They've got numerous couples, and those couples are doing the same steps as each other day in, day out. It's like a machine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's how it is.
Well, that's kind of the same as it was when we were younger amateurs, because we'd all hang out together, we'd all practice together. But we weren't a team as such, but we were all together all the time.
Yeah, you're right. But we weren't in the same school. We didn't do the same steps. We didn't copy each other.
But we all went to practice together.
That's right, we did.
Didn't we? We were all in the same studios together all the time. Yeah, whereas that doesn't happen now.
No.
So maybe that's one of the reasons why England particularly has lost place in the world, because they've lost that camaraderie. They've lost that togetherness, and they've lost that sense of pushing each other, because they're not there to push each other all the time.
But I think that, yes, you may well be right, James.
Because I used to go to practice with Warren. We'd go in the car together.
Yeah.
Because he lived in Bournemouth, I lived in Southampton. We'd pick each other. I'd meet him and pick him up and take him to practice. So we'd be in the studio together practicing, and then the following weekend we'd be on the floor together. So we always had that opportunity to push each other. Yeah. At the time.
Yeah.
Same with me and Steve. You know, we'd be in the studio together. We'd have lessons at the same time, and then we'd go and play a round of golf. Yeah. And then we'd go to practice together. Yeah. You know, so we were always there to push each other.
That's right.
All the time.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to happen now, does it?
No, I mean, I don't really. I've not been to a practice night, obviously, for a long time. But undoubtedly, it's very different now. But if you look at those situations overseas, where they've got this club environment, this team network, where there isn't much competition within, so it's all kind of lining up the soldiers. I'm not saying this is wrong, I'm just this is how sometimes it's been done. It's not a criticism, but there's something to be said for that system. It's been proven that it's produced some really good dancers, and to have that support system. And I think that where the situation, for example, in England is that we weren't necessarily on our own because our teachers would work with us, but yes, we were on our own, right? We were. You didn't necessarily have a massive support system around you, but I think there's a lot of positives to be said about that, because it helps you as a dancer find yourself. And I wouldn't want to change the way I grew up in dancing for this current system. I wouldn't want to. I'm really pleased that like Andrew said, you're the captain of your own ship. But if we look where dancing is today now, and how much it's grown in numbers, shall we say, and etc., there is this huge emphasis, I guess, on this club environment, where there's numbers repeating the same thing. I mean, this is just where we are, whether we like it or not.
But they also have more numbers as well, don't they? They have more in other countries, it seems. We don't have the same level. I mean, you remember dancing the nationals and having 6-7 rounds, and that's not the case anymore.
for the amateurs?
Yeah, it's not the
right.
case
Okay.
anymore.
Yeah, it was a killer of a comp.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I can remember, even as professional, it was pretty.
Oh, the professionals even worse.
But it was
because you go out cold at 10:30 at night, do a straight semi-final.
I quite liked it.
Did you?
I quite liked it.
Yeah, I do. I don't know about you, but I miss the pain. Yeah. I miss the pain of stamina practice, and I miss the pain.
Oh, I don't miss the pain of stamina practice.
Oh, I do.
I hated stamina practice.
Really?
But I did like the feeling of the competition afterwards being absolutely dripping in sweat, and the thing is about Blackpool, when I look at Blackpool, I think, oh, Blackpool was amazing. You know, as a kid, not just a kid, but as amateur, and even the little bit at the beginning of pro. But Blackpool was what it was all about, right? It's what we lived for.
Yep.
Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
That I can remember that build up to Blackpool for like 3 months in England would be packed everywhere.
Yeah.
Going to the semi. I mean, how lucky were we to live through that era? Now we don't
when we're
have.
going, you can't even see because everyone stood up and everything like that. Yeah, those times will never happen again.
No. Now, if we just look
Never.
at that element, one thing you've got to say, well, we're doing something wrong. There's no doubt that something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
There's whatever it is. But that was. They were amazing times, and I always remember going to Blackpool. I don't know if other people were the same as well, but I never, as amateur, I never knew who was judging.
No, I didn't either.
I would go to Blackpool and I'd buy the programme, I'd open the page and I'd look at it and go, oh yeah, we're in a bit of trouble this week, gonna have to dance well. Seriously, Kylie, we're gonna have to really dance well, this is not good for us. But that was brilliant. Oh man, that was like, because I was a bit of a fierce competitor back then. I was, you know, I mean, you were a competitor. All of my friends at the time, you know, Tim, whatever, Tim was a strong competitor. Tim was a he was a fierce competitor. Tim never give up. But when I look back on those times, thinking, you know, I used to get in the car to Blackpool, used to get not knowing who's judging. Oh, how cool is that? I mean, especially compared to now.
Well, they all know now, don't they?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. But times have changed, haven't they? And I might not think this is good, but a lot of people might think it is good. I just look back on my time at Blackpool with extremely fond memories.
Well, me too. I always have it. You know, as soon as you walk in for that first time, you're going in that week, and you hear the music playing as you walk down the stairs. It's
and
just that
smell.
little tingle. Yeah, the smell. Yeah, you're right.
When you walk down those stairs, right?
Yeah. There's a smell.
I can't describe that smell. Can you?
No, you're right. Just a mixture of fake tan, sweat, nail varnish, and
what about
anxiety.
used to you know,
excitement.
Yeah, and I mean, when I look back on it, I can still see in my mind outstanding performances from Blackpool, and nearly not every, but so many couples got their breaks at Blackpool. So many couples got the breaks there.
I got mine there.
Did you?
Yeah. I made the 24 of the amateur when I was 20. Yeah, and no one, you know, expected me to make it. Yeah, I remember seeing Bob Grover leaning forward because I came on from the toilet end. Right. I remember seeing Bob Grover lean forward and giving me the fist like that. Yeah, it was great. Bob, yeah, it was great. But that year I think there was 360 odd couples in it.
Was there really?
Well. Yeah, it's bonkers. Yeah, bonkers.
It was mad, and
we just got sponsored by Chrisanne as well. Which
had you really?
Yeah. So things were going quite well then, and then unfortunately Amy didn't carry on
Amy, I do remember you dancing with Amy. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Well, although I mean, we've all got our good memories from Blackpool, and I will never ever forget them. And sometimes it's got to be so nice sometimes if you could just relive that. You know, and I'm not sure I'd want to put the tail suit on again.
No.
And do the practice.
Wear a short suit.
Yeah.
Or a tunic.
But you can remember, you're right, everyone was standing on the radiators, and you go into the bar you go into the bar
and you couldn't move.
Well, you couldn't move, and everyone was smoking, and there was pints flying everywhere.
Sanitised. That's what's happened. Dancing's become a bit too sanitised.
But that's the
smoking's also.
It's a little bit of the world, though, James. Right? I mean, I don't want to get too like that with dance. I think it's just how the society is a little bit. It's yeah, one of those things. But
we're just very fortunate that we did live through it, and I think that there's a lot of dancers now that will never experience those days, those times.
Do you know, I always used to have a routine going up to Blackpool, and I never ever changed it as an amateur. Never. It was religion for me. But that religion was that I would always valet my car. I had a green, pearlescent green
Polo.
No, it was a Volkswagen Golf.
Oh, Golf.
And it was a beautiful colour.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a knockout colour. So when you polished it, it looked pristine, and I'd always clean it, change the oil, change the air filter, spark plugs. So I'm making sure it looks clean and it runs really good. And my routine was that every year, and I'd stop off on the way in Birmingham to pick up my new tail suit, and then continue the rest of the drive to Blackpool. And that was my routine every year. And I used to say to myself in the car, I'd go through this thought process thinking, all the work's done now, thank God for that. It's been a hard build up. All I'm going to do is keep my shoulders down and head up. That was it. Fun times, good memories. And that was my routine.
Would you say that the British was your favourite comp then?
Yeah. Would you?
It's a toss-up actually. Now that I've been back to the International every year to watch, I loved dancing at the International.
I did as well, actually. I must say
that's a one-off kind of prize night, you know, prize fight sort of thing. You know, it's a winner takes all, one night only sort of job.
It's a great night to watch as well. It's probably the best night to watch.
It is the best night to watch. And at the moment, of course, it's the only one really where everyone's there.
Well, it's the two biggest comps now. It's the UK and International now, the two biggest comps in the world now, because of the current climate, etc. But yeah, they've definitely they're the ones now where everybody dances, right? But yeah, fond memories of Blackpool. And I also used to, when I look back, actually when I retired, the two events I really missed dancing was Blackpool and was the World Superstars, doing the shows at the World Superstars. Actually, that was probably the most I missed. And just doing the shows generally in Japan was an incredible time. Great memories, funny memories, hilarious things happened. But those are the two sort of events I would say I missed once I retired.
Where did you retire officially? Was it in Japan?
Yes, it was actually the World Superstars. Yeah, 2009 I think it was.
Yes, you didn't retire in
the competitions. No, because it didn't.
Well, you never had the opportunity to, I suppose, did you?
No, it kind of.
I didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, I can't even remember all the dates with that when we.
So obviously, the May, you had an unfortunate episode in the Quick Step.
Oh yes,
didn't you?
Yes, and then I think the last comp was the International.
Right. Okay.
That year, 2008.
Yeah.
That's right. We did. You're right. Yes. Some may say it was justified. Some won't. But
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, I think. But
I was in the comp as well.
Were you?
Yeah. 48.
But, yeah,
36 in fact I was.
Well done, James.
I was. Yeah. Well, could have been better. Should have been better. I've got a lot. Well, I have a lot of regrets. A lot of regrets. You and Lynn said to me, give it one more year. You know, when we retired, we stopped in 2011. Okay. And at the end of that year, you said to us, "Come on, give it till Blackpool, and we'll get you where you need to be, etc., etc." And
did we really say
that? You sat us down. We were going to do it. We were going to spend. We worked it out financially. It was going to cost like 10 grand. Okay. We were just going to work with you and Lynn and Marcus and Karen.
Okay.
And I just felt I don't want it anymore, and I regret that. I really should have done it, because I think we were really quite close to doing all right. I think we only needed a little bit of a change, and I think then it would have been all right actually. And we were on the right path. It was just too little, too late for me. Unfortunately, I'd been scarred too much, and taken down a garden path too long by certain individuals, and I just thought, I've had enough.
It's going to happen, James.
I had no money. I literally had no money. And then to think that I had spent another 10 grand to dance on a possibility of getting the result I wanted or the success I wanted, I thought I'm not prepared to risk that.
Yeah.
Not prepared to risk it.
I think when you've been doing what we've been doing a long time, right, you do reach that point where, for whatever reason, that flame in you is not burning so bright. Yeah. And it also does happen with me and Lynn as well, because when me and Lynn separated, I had the chance to come back, and I think I was 33 or 34 at the time, so by all means quite young, but I just didn't really like the options that were maybe in front of me at that time, and I slightly got slightly sort of just thought, yeah, I'm just not.
So is this when you and Lynn split as a couple, or was when you retired?
Yeah, so you'll see, you have to go back through all the time frame. I can't remember everything that happened now, but our last
because obviously you retired, didn't you? And then you were still together for a while before you weren't together.
Yes, I think, I can't remember exactly, James, but our last comp was International 2008 October, and our official retirement was announced at the World Superstars.
Right.
That was our retirement party there.
Yeah.
But then we carried on doing shows together for another 2 years, I think, after that.
Right.
And then I think it might have been 2011 when it was done. But yeah, I believe that I always knew I wanted to retire young. So when the situation happened with Lynn, I was quite content. There were options there, and I thought, I don't really feel that. I'm not feeling it. So that was it.
Right.
I was quite happy. Just do shows for a couple more years, and that was that. And but yeah, there's quite, when I go back, there was one period where I think it was when I just split with Kylie. Maybe it was Andrew that wanted me to dance with Charlotta. I didn't realise this until Charlotta told me this a couple of years back. She said, Andrew wanted us to dance together. I said, I didn't know that. No one had spoken to me about that. But many years ago as well, a lot of people don't know this, I had a tryout with Amanda Owen.
Did you?
Yeah. And,
well, that would have been another one she'd have danced with. She's danced with everybody.
Yeah, and I split with Michelle Barry. So we just won the youth at Blackpool, and Amanda had just split with Andrew Sinkinson. Right. So we had a tryout. So you can imagine this, I'm youth champion and she's second in the pro, I think, that year, right? So we had a tryout. So I'm turning on, I'm like, wow, this girl wants to have a tryout with me. Wow, this is like unreal. I've got to like go, I've got to have a go. Got to try. And of course it meant turning professional. And I remember we went in for this tryout, we practiced a little bit together, then Bill had a look at us. I remember at the end, the little lesson with Bill wasn't long. He just looked at Amanda and he said, like that. I mean, come in the office. I wasn't invited to the office, right? I wasn't invited. So he'd obviously said to Amanda, whatever. And Amanda said after, Bill just said, it's going to need a lot of work. He's going to need a lot of work. And I just thought inside of it, he's right. To be fair, he's right. And and then in the end we didn't go for it, and I went with Kylie and stuff. And
who did she go with then? I can't remember who she danced with then.
Would it have been Luca or Tony?
It must have been Luca.
Would have been Luca, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Luca, yeah.
Would it? Yeah. Would it always?
Must have been. Yeah, it would have been Luca for a year, wasn't it? Not very long. I'm sure Luca. Was she? Yeah, she was.
It was definitely. She came from Andrew. I'm sure she.
And then the following year, she was in the final with Luca. That's right. Yeah.
They were good together, weren't they?
They were good.
Wow.
They were good,
weren't they, Luca and Amanda?
But that didn't last long either.
No. But when they first came on, wow, they were really good together. And and then she went with Tony, didn't she? And,
she did. Stole him away from his sister.
Yeah. Tony was hilarious as a competitor. Fond memories of competing with Tony. Yeah. Because Tony was never afraid to say what he felt, and he could never hide his emotions. I know, no matter how disappointed I was, I didn't get back in or get in the final or whatever. You know what? He used to make me laugh because he'd be kicking off, and I just laughed because I think it's hilarious. It's so good.
I'll have to get him in the car, I think.
Tony would be funny. Yeah, Tony would be. You'll need to do it for a couple of days.
He's got a lot to say.
Because Tony reads a lot of books.
Does he?
Yeah, he's really into books, and he's got a great memory. He almost remembers everything in every book, right? So he's always got a saying about something, and it's brilliant. You know, the one-liners that he comes out and goes, God, that's really good.
It's amazing because it's not even in his first language.
No, I know.
Is it?
No, he's a clever guy, Tony. Actually, he's clever.
That's the thing about dancing as well. All these couples from abroad come over and they speak beautiful English. It makes you feel so inadequate. Yeah. Because I can't speak any other language. I can do a little bit of French. That's about it. And
I wish I could actually.
There's still time. You got time now. What else you got to do? Nothing else to do.
Do you know what, James? I mean, life is busy, right? I mean,
you in demand?
Well, I don't know if I'm in demand, but trying to work and be a parent.
Single parent, of course.
Single parent, yeah, managing that co-parent situation, and is, you know, there's so much to deal with. You probably know as well with stuff with the school as well. The school life, the amount of emails he gets from his school and what they're doing and this and that, and he needs this and that. That is almost a full-time job by itself. And then on top of that, you know, you've got to manage your own workload. So the lessons in for your couples, and then book maybe a trip abroad and etc. And then manage the house situation and making sure Reid's got all his food when he comes to stay, making sure all his stuff is washed. You need a little housekeeper, don't you? Do you know, I thought about getting an au pair.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I'm still thinking about it right now.
What would she do then when he's not there? That's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well,
I'm sure you could find some jobs for her to do.
Yeah. Yes.
This is probably not for
a bit.
This is probably not a conversation for this.
Podcast. Yeah,
you could get a male au pair, couldn't you? Then you would be less.
I definitely wouldn't get a male au pair.
No, you wouldn't. Okay.
No, but no. But I've been toying with the idea. I must say. You know, because they can do the cooking, can't they, as well, and the cleaning, and which would be extremely helpful. Yeah. I've often thought that'd be really nice. You wake up in the morning, sit down, watch a bit of TV for 10 minutes, and say, "Can I have coffee, please?" Yes. Right.
You want a housekeeper? That's what you need.
Yeah, that's basically
what. Housekeeper.
What I want a housekeeper.
For, right? I want a housekeeper.
You do?
Yeah. Called Consuela. Consuela.
That's a lot.
Yeah. That's the housekeeper from Family Guy is called Consuela.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mark and Delia, when they, my sister and her husband at the time, you know, Mark, remember? Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for Mark, didn't I, when I was in Hong Kong?
Oh, did you?
Yeah. That didn't end well.
And when they moved back to England with the kids, they brought their maid with them. Anyway, after a couple of weeks, they got her into the country. She stole all their jewellery and money and did a runner.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And her name was Rona. She was before she was a really good sort of nanny housekeeper.
Was she a Filipino?
Yeah, she was. Yeah, and she'd been with them for years. Years, but you know, she
just waiting for the right moment.
Right moment. She's in England. Stayed. Well, the police obviously tried to find her, but couldn't find her.
So she's here somewhere.
Yeah, but there was rumours at the time. The police were saying to my sister that there were strong demand for these type of nannies in London working for rich families. Right. And obviously, even coming into England for a short time, she'd obviously got a little group of friends that I guess made her aware of it. And, So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, life is a bit busy, and
Have you seen this different topic? Have you seen this Dancers Anonymous stuff on
Yes,
Instagram?
I have, and I'm not sure what to make of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if I'm really honest, I don't quite know. I don't feel I'm quite all right with people writing stuff and we don't know who they are. I don't know. I feel a bit. I know I've seen you put some stuff on recently.
Yeah, but I put my name
on it, right? So I kind of think that's the way. If you're going to do it, you should do it. I like the idea of things being transparent. I mean, transparency. There's a lot to be said for people being transparent, but also a lot to be said for sometimes understand whether it needs to be transparent or not. Or it's a tricky situation, isn't it?
My argument with it is that for too long, dancing and dancers have been unapproachable and untouchable, and you can't say anything against anyone. for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And in any other realm, football, for instance, there are people criticising and commentating on football and footballers and that sort of thing constantly.
Yeah.
Aren't there? Constantly.
Yeah.
So what makes dancing any less open?
Sorry, I'm not. I am listening to you, but I'm paranoid about with my son. I'm checking my phone
I've taken
as well.
the wrong way. I've gone the wrong way. I meant to go left.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah,
I'm going back now.
No, that's fine. That's okay.
I think. Hang on. It's that way, isn't it?
Yes.
It is that way. Yeah.
But you can.
I'm just going to do a U.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So I think it's a good thing, personally.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't judging the international this year, were you?
No, not the Royal Albert Hall.
No.
This year.
But what would you have done then if you'd been sat there and then Donnie comes and sits next to you and he's not judging on that judging area? Because that's not right.
It's not right.
And so why didn't any other judges call it out at the time and say, what are you doing?
I can't speak for them. But
no, I know, I understand.
In fairness, I think to a man that has achieved amazing success in our dance world as a competitor, it would be difficult to say there has been a better, more dedicated dancer to his profession from what he's achieved, was quite amazing. And I would just sort of say that I would expect someone like that to know better. That would be my only view on it. But we don't know what the reasons were behind it. I don't know. But just saying that's only from the outside, from what I saw and heard. Yeah. That I would expect that kind of thing not to happen.
But if I'd gone and sat there, I'm damn sure that someone would have said something to me. They'd have said, "What do you think you're doing, James? You're not supposed to be here."
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are a few things that it's important that I think people aren't untouchable.
Yes.
And people need to know that they're not untouchable.
Yes.
And they need to be respectful and
I think,
do the right thing.
I think more importantly than that, what I find is really a little bit disrespectful is you put the organisers of the event in a very difficult situation. And that to me is a little bit disrespectful. Yeah. If I'm honest with you, I find that quite disrespectful and worrying and alarming. That I don't, I don't know, I think there's something to be said for being humble. Yeah.
Oh well, some people aren't very humble at all,
I believe that's a good quality, and I think if you lose that, then you understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
So we should just try to be respectful, and it's a little bit like the current world we live in as well, right? It's like some of the stuff I listen to this day and age, I just think, oh my gosh, why can't everyone be normal? Right?
But what is normal now? What is new? Yeah. What is normal?
I don't know. I mean, let's just be respectful to everybody and treat everybody nice, and then we don't need to have any of these current issues that we live with all the time.
Treat people how you want to be treated. It's simple.
That's right.
Treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like at Reid's school, his school is, there's so many different cultures in his school. And that's fine. That's all right. It's just like, what's the problem? Yeah. Why do we need to make a problem?
There's no problem. There's no problem.
You know, and a lot of the time I think it's hyped up from the media that create a lot of these issues, and let's just all be respectful people. Let's just all be humble. Yeah. Just be kind and help people. And let's give a nice advice instead of criticism, and see, I'm in one of these philosophical moments, James.
I can see that. Do you want some tissue? There's some tissue.
Yeah, I'll have it. When I get back home, I'll have a good cry.
Good.
When I say get back home, I've got now typical life of a dancer stroke daddy. I'm going to the supermarket now to make sure my little boy has got all his food in.
Excellent.
When I pick him up from school, and those nice chores to be done.
Oh, I know all about that. Yeah, our daughter's just decided to switch off of hot meals at school now to packed lunches. Oh, are you doing them? Or not? Is she getting them at school? She has hot lunches at school.
Yeah.
But she's one of the few that do at the moment. So, and all of her other friends go off and sit somewhere else with their packed lunches. So we're switching now from next week to packed lunches. So we've got to start buying packed lunches now, which is a little bit of a pain, but yeah, it's what you got to do.
Well, that's right. I used to love packed lunches at school.
Did you? I never had them. Never had them. Always had hot lunches at school. Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's good though, because if she has a hot lunch, we haven't got to bother feeding her again, you see. send her to school,
Yeah.
have lunch, and that's it. We don't have to feed her again. So that she has food the next day. Because we only let her eat once a day.
Do you?
No.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me though.
Yeah.
I've seen the school lunches my son has. Yeah. Oh wow. It is it's like a 5-star restaurant.
Really?
Yes. He came home from school the other day and he said, "Daddy, I had sushi today for lunch."
Wow.
What? I said, "You had sushi?"
Sushi.
He said, "Yeah, I had sushi. It was really nice."
Yeah.
I said,
Ella
"What?
likes sushi.
Really?"
Yeah.
I said, "Like sushi? Like raw fish? Like, yeah, Daddy, with rice. Don't you know?" And seaweed. It's like going into it. It's like, yeah, wow. And yeah, that's it. He's very blessed with the school that he goes to. It's more like a resort than a school.
How many's in his class?
He's got 14, and there's 2 teachers.
Right.
Ella's
got 7.
Wow.
7 in her class.
Wow, that's really good.
Well, it is and it isn't, because there's not a lot of if you think about it, so if you don't get on with 1 or 2 children,
that's true.
there's not a lot of other options really.
That's true.
So
Social side of it.
there is a little bit of a downside in that respect, but the education aspect is really fabulous.
Yeah.
Because they all get on really well.
It's all a balance though, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what we've got some issues with at the moment.
No, yeah.
But, so no, she's very lucky, but the food's not so good. So she had a look around this secondary school. It's a school that I went to actually.
Right.
And she looked around and she wants to go because of the dinners, because it's like you suggest, it's like this massive banquet of food. So I like the lunch. I like the lunches. I want those lunches.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can make the decision based on that though, can you?
No, but it is a really good school. It is a really good school. So hopefully she's going to go there next year, provided she passes the exam. But she's bright.
I'm sure
she's bright. She's a bright kid.
I'm sure she will do.
So what's in store then for the rest of the day? You got go and get some shopping, go and get the boy.
I will do. Then
and then you'll sit and play his PlayStation.
Yeah, probably something like that. There will be at some point we will have a play fight because he really enjoys that.
He's a proper boy's boy, is he?
Yeah, he likes to. He does like to have a rough and tumble, and he's pretty strong now. So I've got to be on my A game with that. And yeah, that will be it. Then probably got homework, maths homework today, which will be tricky for me. Because I will, even though he's 7, I will probably have to Google it when he comes back. Because you know what it's like. Like when they come home from school with homework.
Yeah.
It's like this is not what I did at school.
No, it's not the same at all, is it?
And the teachers expect you to know, don't they? It's like, where's the instructions with this? And you've got to Google it. And sometimes I'll even call my dad and say, I take a screenshot. Can you work this out? Because I can't work this out. And then once I can, it's fine. He will kick off a little bit if he doesn't want to do it, but then he'll be fine.
Yeah, Ella doesn't like doing her homework sometimes. She has to do
what kid does?
No, true. I know.
I didn't really like school that much. I only liked the sports.
I wasn't keen on school. I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't keen on school. I just wanted to get out and go dancing.
Yeah, I was the same, James.
I wanted to go dancing.
And
I wasn't bothered really about school too much.
Yeah.
Didn't have many friends at school. All my mates were in dancing.
Yeah.
So.
And we were lucky. What a good life.
We were very lucky.
You know,
yeah,
what a
great fun. Great fun.
To all those dancers out there, enjoy. The time goes very quick. Search. That's what I would say. And always believe that anything is possible, despite how things may appear from the outside. It's not often how it really is.
Wise words
from experience. And it's been a pleasure, JP.
It's been great. Thanks, mate.
We didn't get to talk about cars today.
We didn't. We have to do it again.
Which I'm a little bit disappointed because I do like my cars.
Yeah.
And
well, actually, I don't have many people in the car that talk about cars.
Yeah.
So Victor talks about cars a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, Victor's.
I'm looking forward to seeing his Ferrari when I get a chance.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do another one then about cars. Just cars.
Let's do an updated version in maybe 6 to 12 months. See if things have changed in the world.
All right. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Over and out, people. Peace and love.